Hi, my name is Michael Wild. I am a board member of the Boys and Girls Club of Broward County, and I'm also an attorney. Now, there are many types of attorneys. My specific practice is focused on estate planning, asset protection, and probate administration. And, I guess, you probably haven't dealt with a lot of that, but just to summarize what that means, estate planning is what happens to your stuff when you die. Estate planning encompasses wills, trusts, powers of attorney, healthcare surrogates, things like that, things that everybody needs. While they're alive, I always say that I have two types of clients, those who are alive and those who used to be alive when it comes to the estate planning process. But everyone needs it. Everyone needs estate planning. The second area, probate, that's for those people who don't have estate planning or don't use their estate planning the right way. That's the transfer of assets at death when it is up to the court or up to the state to decide. So there are laws that say what happens to your stuff if you don't have a will or a trust, and that's called intestacy, and that's what probate is making sure that those assets go through the court system, creditors are paid, and the beneficiaries end up with what's left. And then the third area, asset protection, sometimes is the most interesting to people. That's protecting my clients from lawsuits and creditors and things like that, making sure they get to keep their money while they're alive. So those are the three areas of law that I focus on specifically. But being an attorney, in general, there are a lot of different options. In fact, there are different types of attorneys even beyond the areas of law. There are litigation attorneys and there are transactional attorneys. When I went to law school initially, I didn't know what kind of attorney I was going to be, but on TV, you don't see a lot of shows about estate planning attorneys or real estate attorneys. You see a lot of shows about litigators. When you talk about Boston Legal or LA Law or The Practice or shows I grew up with. Now obviously they have, more modern shows, but I remember still being a young boy watching, Corbin Burnson as Arnie Becker, and he's handling these big litigations in court, and I was in LA Law, and then one of my favorite characters of all time, Alan Shore, played by James Spader, in Boston Legal. So, I always thought I'd be great at litigating, especially since when I was in high school, I did a lot of debate and drama, things like that. So I was good at extemporaneous speaking, good at debating, good at explaining my point of view, and good at also seeing both sides of a point of view. So I always thought I was going to be a litigator. And when I went to law school, I was on the trial team, and they give you all the information when you're litigating in a fake trial. They give you all of the facts and all. Who the guilty party is and things like that. And you just, your job is to cross-examine the witnesses, and your job is to, do the opening and closing statements, and it's fun. It's like what you see on TV. But then when I actually became a lawyer, and my job was to litigate, and I would go to court all the time, it was very boring. Litigation is solving one problem, really, in my opinion. I mean, a lot of people make a lot of money doing litigation, don't get me wrong, but litigation to me was very boring because there was one problem, and it was the same problem over and over again, just different clients, and we had the same case law over and over again, and the same opposing attorney over and over again. It was kind of a game. But we always knew how it was going to end out. It was going to be a settlement. There's never a judgment. It's always a settlement. So you call up the attorney on the other side. Hey, we know how this figures out. My client has this and your client has that, and let's just come to some settlement before we go in front of the judge. And so it was really a lot of just signing papers and research. But transactional law, and specifically I do estate planning, like I mentioned, but all the areas of different transactional law, whether it be mergers and acquisitions or real estate or estate planning, like that to me was very interesting because I'm not just focused on one issue. I'm focused on the infinite amounts of problems that might arise in the future. So it's really, to me, it spoke to me. So after doing litigation for 3 years, I actually opened my own estate planning practice. And, that's another part of, law that is even beyond, what area of practice, litigation or transactional is. Do you work for someone else or are you starting your own firm? Because for me, when I worked for someone else, my job was really show up, do the work, go home. But I always wanted to start my own law firm. So 12 years ago, I started my own estate planning firm in 2009. And it was not just doing the law, but actually also managing the firm, bringing in the clients, managing the books, keeping the trust account, all the things that you have to do. You have to be all sorts of things when you are running your own law firm. And there are a lot of great attorneys out there that fail as solo or entrepreneurial attorneys because they're great attorneys, but they're not great business people. It's important when you have your own law firm, you have to be a great business person and also a great attorney. So you're wearing two hats. So, as we look, from the different aspects of, do you work for someone else? Are you your own boss? And even within that realm, are you a finder that brings in business, a minder that manages business, or a grinder that really works hard and gets the job done? You got to be a little bit of all three, but what you're best at, that also is something to decide. So there's all these different avenues that you can go down. So if the path of law is something that interests you, you can decide, not just what type of law, not just litigation or transactional, but also, am I going to go into business for myself or am I going to work for someone else? There's all different options. And as you progress, you can decide different, different opportunities when they arise. And you can, there's always a time to change your mind, down the road. So the first thing, though, if you do have any interest in law, and it's if you're a person who likes to speak publicly, if you're a person who likes to debate, if you're a person who can see both sides of an issue, then law might be for you. Well, you have to first obviously graduate high school and then go to college. You have to get a 4-year degree at a college or university. So it doesn't matter, where you go. Don't everyone thinks you have to go to like an Ivy League school or something to get into a good law school. That doesn't matter. But you go to a college. You declare your major. You can declare. A lot of people think you have to declare pre-law as a major. You do not. Law school does not have a requirement like med school does. With medical school, you have to declare a major that's approved by the medical schools, like a microbiology or chemistry or something like that. With law, you can major in anything. My cousin went to law school. She majored in microbiology. That's way too hard of a major for going to law school, in my opinion. I was a political science major with a sports management minor. So education, business, these are great majors for going to law school as well. So after you graduate from undergrad, then you apply to law school. I personally, and I would recommend anyone doing this, I took 2 years off and worked in between undergraduate school and law school. And I think it really puts law school in perspective when you go back. If you go straight through, a lot of my friends did that. There's nothing wrong with it. You go 4 years of undergraduate and then 3 years of law school. You don't really recognize what it is to be a lawyer. You just understand more of the same about studying and getting good grades and things like that. But I think there's something to going out there and really experiencing work and experiencing life and then going back and understanding how the concepts you're learning in law school will be utilized in the real world. And also, kind of putting things in perspective that, school is training for the real world. School is not the end all be all. Everyone who thinks that, I got a bad grade in a class, my life is over. No, it doesn't matter. That's just one step along the path. In fact, when I hire attorneys, I very rarely look at their GPAs. They have to graduate law school, but and they have to pass the bar exam. But it's not the GPA is not something that is a must-have. It's more of a personality thing. One of the most important things I learned in law school, and I've mentioned it a couple times already, is the ability to see both sides of each issue. That's something that's invaluable in life. There's never a one person's 100% right or one person's 100% wrong. You have to be able to see both sides. I mean, nowadays you turn on the news and you think that there's no possible way of doing that. Everyone has their opinion and their opinion's right and everyone else's opinion's wrong. That's not how lawyers think. So lawyers in general, no matter what opinion you have, you can see the other person's point of view. You have to be able to do that. You can't take things personally when you're negotiating or when you're litigating. So, I think that one of the best things, even though my friends that went to law school and didn't become lawyers, one of the best things they took from that is the ability to flip your own ideas. I could easily, in fact, in debate when I was in high school, and I recommend if you want to be a lawyer, taking debate in high school and going to debate competitions is a great start, because there's something called Lincoln Douglas debate where you don't even find out which side you're debating until you get to the competition. So you could have something very controversial like abortion, abortion rights, and when you get there, they tell you whether you are actually going to fight for the right to abort a child or against the right to abort a child, and you have to be ready to go on either side, and you have to be strategic about how you are fighting for your side, because then you have to flip and fight for the other side against the same person, so they could use your arguments against you. So there's a lot of strategy to that. I recommend debate. I recommend drama. Those are great. I also recommend sales. Being able to sell is being able to connect with someone. And so if you're a good salesperson and you can connect with someone, whether it be connecting with your client, your opposition, or the jury, or the judge, those are all really good skill sets. So sales, debate, drama, those are great. But so you gain those skills in law school, and then hopefully after 3 years you pass law school, you graduate, you have a Juris Doctorate. And then what you can do at that point, you can't be a lawyer in most states. You can't be a lawyer right away in Florida with just a Juris Doctorate. What you have to do is you have to then take the bar exam. Now, the bar exam is an exam that you've got to study for a couple months. I mean, there's a whole industry of courses that they sell for being able to prepare you for that exam. I remember I studied for 2 straight months, 8 hours a day, 5 days a week. I still had my nights and my evenings and my weekends. I treated it like a job. But then you go in for a 2-day test in Tampa, and at the end of that, you wait another month until your scores come back, and you find out if you're a lawyer or not. And if you didn't pass it, there's another opportunity a few months later to take it again. But hopefully you pass it, and then once you pass it, they give you a bar number. And then you have that bar number for the rest of your career. So at that point, you go out and you try to find a job. So hopefully you've secured something while you're waiting for your bar results. But at that point, you go to secure your job. And then it comes where you've got to negotiate a salary. Now, there are, again, different avenues. So if you're going to go and get straight A's in school and study and go to a big law firm and be a litigator, you're going to start out with probably a 6-figure salary. You're probably going to make over $100,000 a year. You're going to work nights, weekends, your 20s belong to them, so you're going to bill a lot of hours, you're going to work a lot of hours, and you're going to do a lot of research and writing in the law library. If you decide that you want to do something more transactional, you'll probably make, half that to start out, but you'll work more of a 9-to-5 type of schedule or an 8-to-5 type of schedule. And then if you want to start your own firm, like I did, the joke among entrepreneurs is, yes, the great thing about being your own boss is that you get to choose which 60 hours a week you want to work. So sometimes I will take a Friday off and play golf, but then I'll come in on Saturday and work. So it does, there are different avenues and there are different paths, and you have to decide which is right for you. So, it's funny. A lot of people think that all lawyers are rich. Some are. Some do very well. Some work, pro bono. Some work for $40,000 a year. There's a wide range of salaries for attorneys. So it is a great avenue. The greatest thing, though, it is complete job security. Once you have your law degree and you pass your bar and you have your license to practice, you can literally, you'll never be unemployed if you don't want to be. You can go find a job with any type of firm. You can learn any type of law. You don't have to specialize in just one area. I could tomorrow decide I want to do divorce law. I never would, but I could decide that. With your law degree, you have that option. So the legal profession gives you a tremendous amount of options. You could hang your own shingle and start your own firm. You could work for a large firm. You could work for a small firm. Heck, a bunch of your friends and you could get together and start your own firms where you handle a bunch of different things. So I definitely recommend it. I love being a lawyer. I recommend that if you have any interest in speaking, in debating, in negotiating, law is probably a great field for you. One other thing to consider is that the legal profession extends beyond just lawyers. For instance, in my firm, I employ non-attorneys in the areas of paralegal. Sometimes, if you're in a litigation or a mediation, you need a court reporter. There are legal assistants or discovery specialists, even private investigators that are all part of the legal profession. So if you're interested in the legal profession, but you don't want to go to college for 4 years, maybe you want an associate's degree for only two, or even you do the 4 years and you don't want to go to law school, it's not for you. Or you just don't want to deal with lawyers on a daily basis. Maybe you can get a job as a paralegal, which might earn anywhere from $20 to $30 an hour, if paid hourly, or even some paralegals or case managers can make close to six figures themselves. A court reporter can earn between $60,000 and $120,000 per year. Bailiff for a judge, you can make 40, 50 grand a year, have a nice pension. Then legal assistants can range between $50,000 and $80,000 a year. You can be an information discovery specialist, like a discovery project manager or director, and that's a six-figure salary as well. So there are plenty of options for those that want to be in the legal profession, but don't necessarily want to be lawyers. Don't want to sink that low. So if you have the interest in entering into the legal profession, but maybe not through law school, there are still some opportunities there for you. And if you have any questions, feel free to reach out. I'm always happy to help, always happy to, lend any advice and any guidance along your way. Thanks.